The moment Linda Carver screamed into her phone right inside my garage, that was when everything snapped into focus. She was telling 911 there were weapons and a dangerous operation happening at 118 Oak Lane, like my retirement hobby was a crime scene. And when the patrol car rolled up and the first person to step out was my friend Daniel Reyes, the police chief. Linda's smile died so fast it looked like someone pulled the plug. I'm Jack Miller, 52, retired Navy machinist, the kind of guy who likes quiet mornings and the smell of clean oil. When I bought my place in Cedar Ridge Estates, I wasn't chasing luxury. I was chasing peace. A 2-car garage, a small yard, and enough space to bring my dad's old Harley back to life with my own hands. I read the paperwork before I signed anything. CC&R's rules, the fine print everybody ignores. The Homeowners Association made a big deal about community standards, but nothing said I couldn't work on my own vehicle in my own garage. No business, no customers, no signs, just me and a toolbox. Then Linda Carver introduced herself. The first time I saw her, she had heels that clicked like a metronome and a clipboard hugged to her chest like a badge. She didn't say, "Welcome to the neighborhood." She said, "So what exactly are you planning to do with that garage?" I laughed a little, trying to keep it friendly. "Work on a bike. Maybe a car later. Just a hobby." Her eyes narrowed like she was measuring me. "We take compliance seriously here, Mr. Miller, and I've been president of the HOA for 6 years. The way she said it, HOA, felt like she expected me to salute. For a week or two, I tried to brush it off. I kept my garage door down more than I wanted, worked earlier in the day, kept the radio low. But I could feel it, that weird pressure in the air like someone was waiting for me to mess up. On the first Saturday, I had my buddies over. It wasn't a party the way Linda later described it. 4 old friends, coffee and paper cups, grease under our nails, laughing at the same dumb stories we've told for 20 years. A classic rock playlist playing low like background noise. I was holding a wrench when I noticed her across the street. Linda stood at the edge of my driveway with a little black device in her hand, a sound meter, like I was hosting a concert. She didn't step onto my property at first. She just stared, scribbled something, then started taking photos with her phone. My open garage, my friends, my tools, my Harley half taken apart. I wiped my hands on a rag and walked out. "Can I help you, Linda?" She didn't look embarrassed. She looked excited. "I'm documenting multiple violations." Violations. I glanced around like I'd missed a burning couch. "We're just working." She lifted her chin. Section 12.4, no commercial activity. Section 8.2, nuisance noise. And we have concerns about safety hazards. I almost smiled because it was ridiculous. There's no business, no customers. It's a Saturday. We're fixing a bike. Linda's voice got sharper. When people gather around engines and machinery, it creates an unsafe atmosphere for the community, and it lowers property values. Property values. She said it like a prayer. 2 days later, I got a certified letter taped to my door like a scarlet letter. Notice of violation. A fine. A deadline. The usual Homeowners Association intimidation package dressed up in legal font. I appealed it the way the rules said I should. I wrote a calm letter, referenced the exact sections, explained it was a hobby, included photos of my garage being clean and organized. I thought if I played it straight, logic would win. Linda responded with one sentence, "Your appeal is denied." Not the board reviewed it. Not we have questions. Just denied. Like she was judge and jury and I was some kid who tracked mud in her kitchen. That's when the real harassment started. She'd drive past my house slowly, not even pretending she had somewhere to be. I'd catch her standing by her living room window with her phone held up filming my driveway. I found printed reminders slipped under my neighbors' doors, little warnings about unapproved activity at my address. One afternoon, I opened my mailbox and found a complaint form, already filled out with my name on it like she wanted someone else to sign and send it in. I tried to stay calm. I told myself, "Jack, don't react. Don't give her drama." But after the 3rd fine, the calm started to crack. I stopped opening my garage door as often. I stopped inviting my friends over. I stood in my own driveway and felt like a visitor in my own life. One night, I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the ceiling, and the thought hit me hard. What if she's right? Not about property values, but about me. About the noise, the mess, the attention. I started replaying everything in my head, picking myself apart like a bad engine. Maybe I should just sell. Maybe I should pack up, move somewhere with no HOA, and stop fighting a woman who clearly had nothing better to do. I hated that thought, because it felt like surrender. I'd handled pressure in the Navy that made this look like kindergarten. But there's something different about being targeted at home somewhere you're supposed to feel safe. It's not loud danger, it's quiet erosion. The turning point didn't come from me being brave. It came from my neighbor Evelyn Parker. Evelyn's in her 70s, the kind of woman who still brings cookies to new families and knows everybody's name. One morning I saw her standing in her front yard, furious, holding a crushed row of flowers like evidence. Linda had stepped into her garden to get a better angle filming my garage. Evelyn didn't yell from her porch. She marched across the street and knocked on my door with that steady, no-nonsense energy that makes grown men straighten their backs. "Jack," she said, "you're not the problem." I didn't even know what to say, so I just let out this tired breath. "It feels like I am." Evelyn leaned closer. "Linda has been doing this for years. She picks a target, squeezes, and waits for them to leave." That sentence landed like a punch, because suddenly it wasn't personal. It was a pattern. Evelyn organized a small get-together, not an official HOA meeting, not one of Linda's little performances. Just a handful of neighbors in Evelyn's living room, coffee on the table chairs pulled close. And one by one people talked. A young couple fined for leaving a stroller on their porch. An older man threatened because his grass grew half an inch too tall after surgery. A widow who got letters about unauthorized holiday decorations when she hadn't decorated at all. I sat there listening, and the shame drained out of me. I wasn't the only one. I was just the latest. That's when Tom Gallagher spoke up. Tom used to be the HOA treasurer, retired accountant, quiet voice, eyes that don't miss details. He slid a folder across the table like he'd been waiting for the right moment. "I kept copies," he said. "Linda didn't like questions, but I don't like missing money." Inside were invoices that didn't make sense, emergency repairs that nobody remembered, consulting fees paid to a property management company with an address that led to a mailbox store. Tom tapped one page. "The company's registered to her nephew." My stomach tightened. "So she's funneling HOA money." Tom didn't say yes. He didn't have to. The number said it for him. Evelyn looked at me. "You have a friend in law enforcement, don't you?" I thought of Daniel Reyes, the guy who used to sneak into my garage just to admire the Harley frame like it was art. The guy who once said, "Jack, you make metal behave." That's magic. I called him that night. Daniel didn't overreact. He just got very still on the other end of the phone. Then he said, "Save every letter, every email, every photo. Don't confront her alone." He paused. "And keep doing your life. If she escalates, let her." So the next Saturday, I opened my garage again. Not wide open like I was daring her. Just normal. My friends came by, we worked, we laughed quietly, we kept the music low. I told myself, be calm, be clean, be boring. Linda wasn't looking for reality. She was looking for ammunition. And she found her moment when she decided to cross the line completely. I heard her before I saw her heels fast on concrete breath, sharp anger leaking out of every step. She appeared at the edge of my garage, phone already in her hand, eyes bright like she'd been waiting all week for this. "You're doing it again," she hissed. I kept my voice steady. "Linda, you're trespassing." She raised the phone and started dialing like she was casting a spell. "I'm calling 911. This is illegal. This is a public safety issue." I blinked, honestly stunned. "For a hobby?" Linda turned slightly away from me like she was performing for an invisible audience. "Yes, hello. There's an unauthorized operation at 118 Oak Lane. Multiple men. Loud machinery. I believe there are weapons, possibly drugs. I need officers immediately." My friends froze. One of them mouthed, "Is she serious?" My hands went cold. Not because I was scared of the police, but because I knew what a false call could do. How fast a misunderstanding turns into something ugly. I stepped forward, palms open. "Linda, stop. You're lying." She looked right at me and smiled, small and cruel. "We'll see." The first patrol car arrived within minutes, then another. Then, an unmarked SUV rolled up behind them, dark windows, government plates. Linda's posture changed when she saw the SUVs. The confidence wobbled just for a second. And then Daniel Reyes stepped out of the first unit. Not as my buddy, not as the guy who joked about my coffee being too strong. As the police chief, sharp uniform, calm eyes, that kind of presence that fills space without raising its voice. Linda's mouth opened, then closed, like her brain needed a second to catch up. Daniel looked at her, then at me, then at my garage clean floor tools, neatly laid out an old Harley frame on a stand like a museum piece. He turned back to Linda. "Ma'am, you called 911. Linda lifted her chin like she could still win. "Yes, I'm the president of the HOA. These men are running an illegal operation. There are hazards. There could be weapons." Daniel's face didn't change, but his voice cooled. "You just told dispatch you suspected drugs." Linda's eyes darted. I said possibly. I'm protecting the community." Daniel nodded once slow. "Okay." Then he did something that made my throat tighten. He pulled out his badge wallet and opened it directly in front of her like a mirror she couldn't look away from. "I'm Chief Daniel Reyes," he said, "and you've just made a knowingly false emergency report." Linda stuttered. This is a conflict of interest. You can't." Daniel lifted a hand. "That's why they're here." The rear SUV door opened and a woman stepped out, Agent Olivia Martinez. No flashing lights, no drama, just that controlled professional walk that says she already knows the ending. She approached Linda with a folder in her hand. "Linda Carver." Linda's voice shrank. "Yes. Who are you?" Agent Martinez held up her credentials for half a second, long enough to land. "We've been reviewing financial complaints connected to Cedar Ridge Estates Homeowners Association, along with harassment reports and repeated misuse of emergency services." Linda took a step back. "This is ridiculous. I'm the victim here. He's running a shop." Agent Martinez's tone stayed even. "Ma'am, you are being detained for questioning. Turn around, place your hands behind your back." Linda's face flashed through disbelief, rage, and then something close to panic. "You can't do this. I have authority." Daniel's voice cut in, quiet but absolute. "Not like that, you don't." The sound of the cuffs locking was soft, but it echoed in my head like a door slamming shut. Linda tried one last time to spit venom over her shoulder. "This neighborhood will fall apart without me." Evelyn's voice came from behind the crowd that had gathered, steady, almost sad. "No, Linda. It'll finally breathe." Agent Martinez guided Linda toward the SUV, and Linda's heels, those loud little symbols of control, scraped the pavement like she was suddenly just another person who couldn't talk her way out of consequences. I stood in my garage doorway, hands still dirty, heart pounding, and for the first time in months, my house felt like mine again. Sometimes the only way to beat a bully is to stop shrinking and start saving receipts.